Hi, I'm Katherine Weber.
And I'm Katherine Doyle.
And we are so sad not to be at Camp YA in person, but we're happy that we can take part virtually. We are both away. We're actually filming this in the future, so
No, in the past.
In the past, we're time traveling. During Camp YA, we're both out of the country, which is a shame because we would have loved to have been there. But again, we're very happy to be taking part in this way. So we are going to tell you a little bit about Twin Crowns and also do a reading for the Fireside reads. So, Kat, you want to tell them about Twin Crowns?
Yes, Twin Crowns is the story of twin sisters, Princess Rose Valhart and Witch Wren Greenrock, who were separated at birth and grew up miles and miles apart. And the story opens on the night that Wren climbs in to Anadon Palace to kidnap her princess sister Rose and essentially steal her life.
I just had this real strong urge to try to basically do, what's the game that you do where you act things out? Try to charades. Act it out. That would be fun. That's very like Fireside. We encourage you guys to do charades for Twin Crowns. But yeah, so the book is romantic and fun and swoony. Both of the girls have their own romantic arcs, but at the heart of it, it's a story about sisterhood. So we are going to do a little reading for you. And then of course we also have out now Cursed Crowns, the sequel, and coming early next year, book 3. But for now, so Kat is going to read from Wren, the witch, and then I will read a little bit from Rose.
So twin readings from Twin Crowns, and this is reading number 1. The sudden rustle of silk drew Wren to the 4-poster bed in the middle of the room. The canopy shifted like mist in the breeze, revealing the crown princess of Ina. Princess Rose Valhart was as pretty as a painting, and as still and gentle as a cat in slumber. Danger is a faraway thought to Rose, said Wren's grandmother's voice in her head. She'll never see you coming. Wren peered over the sleeping princess, ignoring the furious thudding in her chest. The pull towards her was even stronger now, like a fist closing around her heart. Hello, sister, she whispered. At last we meet. Rose was smiling in her sleep. Her chestnut brown hair spilled out around her in a halo. In the moonlight, her pale skin was glowing, the apples of her cheeks absent of freckles. Though their faces were identical, it was clear that Rose had never glimpsed the searing desert sun, nor known the icy whip of a sea wind. Lucky for some. A shadow fell across the bed. You're blocking my light, Shen, Wren whispered. I'm trying not to disturb you. Shen was crouched on the window ledge. In case you wanted to, he cleared his throat. Have an emotion? Wren bristled. I am not having an emotion. Calm down, I won't tell your grandmother. Shen swung his legs around and slipped soundlessly into the room. You can be yourself with me. In the climb, strands of his black hair had escaped from his leather tie and had come to rest along his forehead. Other than that, he looked immaculate. Wren looked him over. Did you even break a sweat? Of course not. She kept her voice low. Well, what do you think? She's certainly a prettier sleeper than you. You're a hideous drooler. Wren punched him in the arm. He chewed the smile from the inside of his cheek. You've got more freckles, and her hair is darker than yours. Wren passed a hand over her braid, frowning. I bet she's a lot nicer. I will fling you back out that window, Shen. Rose sighed as she turned over. Her eyelids flickered. Now that she was so close, Wren was seized by the sudden desire to look into her sister's eyes. Would Rose know her? Would she scream? Would she— Wren, hissed Shen. Do the damn spell! Rose murmured in her sleep. Celeste. A bolt of panic coursed through Wren. She whipped a handful of Ortha sand from her drawstring pouch and opened her palm. Enchantment gathered in her fingers. The words spilled out fast and loose. From earth to dust. In dark we creep. Please put the princess back to sleep. Rose snapped her eyes open. Wren's heart stuttered as she blew the sand from her palm. It floated like gold-winged fireflies before disappearing into nothing, taking the princess's gasp with it. Her lids drooped and she flopped against her pillow unconscious. Wren tightened the string on her pouch. Her fingers were trembling. She crushed them into her palm. It was foolish, really, that moment of hesitation. It wasn't like Wren didn't know what to expect to find in the East Tower. She had always known she had a twin sister. She had been raised to steal her life, after all, but seeing Rose here, so close and warm and alive, had suddenly filled her with, well, an emotion. Did you see her eyes? She whispered, as green as emeralds. Shen's gaze shone too brightly in the moonlight. He was watching her in that way of his, as though he were reading the movements of her soul. Are you all right? I'm fine. Wren smiled thinly. We need to hurry. Give me the rope. She set about unraveling it. I'll anchor you. Great, said Shen, drawing the canopy back. I'll go ahead and kidnap your sister.
I love that bit so much. I was like, carry on reading. But now it is Rose's POV. She has been kidnapped, and so she has just woken up on the back of a horse and is confused, as one would be. All at once, she was struck by other things. Her lips were dry and her throat was parched. There was sand in her mouth, grains mottled to the sides of her face. She blinked furiously. She must still be dreaming. How else could she explain waking up in the desert, half slumped on a horse? A horse? Panic pulsed through Rose's body in time with the horse's hoofbeats. She stiffened as something else became suddenly and alarmingly clear. She was not alone. She was propped up against a firm chest that rose and fell with a gentle rhythm. An arm was loosely wrapped around her waist, holding her in place. It took every ounce of her self-control not to react at once. She drew a steadying breath, trying to slow her racing heart. Stay calm. If she lost control of her senses now, she was done for. She subtly flexed her fingers. Good, her hands were unbound. She glanced down at her lap. No rope there either. Her captor had clearly underestimated her. Well, they were in for a surprise. Her eyes darted, her mind whirring frantically. The horse was galloping swiftly, but the sand would be soft, and she possessed the element of surprise. Best strike now, before fear spreading inside her took over. Find your courage. Wield it as a weapon. With a bellowing cry, Rose shoved her elbow down hard and leapt off the horse. It was only when her feet hit the sand that she realized she hadn't planned any further than the emergency dismount. Also, and crucially, she had not been expecting the desert sand to be so blisteringly hot, or that she would be barefoot and in her nightgown. Burning stars, she cursed, hopping from foot to foot. That was surprisingly impressive, came a voice from above her. Rose whirled to face her abductor. He made a striking figure, dressed in all black and sitting atop that magnificent horse. His face was haloed by the rising sun, and although she couldn't make out his features, she could plainly tell he was some sort of bandit. Stay calm, she reminded herself, even as her heartbeat thundered in her ears. In the past, whenever Rose had let herself imagine the possibility of her own kidnapping, she was always dressed in one of her most ravishing gowns, not her second favorite nightgown in someone else's cloak, which was coarse and positively reeking, and she had never pictured there being quite so much sand. Even so, she had to seize control of the situation, and fast. She was the princess. No harm would come to her. Rose told herself that as she rolled her shoulders back, fear still hammering in her chest. I don't know who you are, but I demand you take me back to my palace this instant. Oh, thanks so much again, and have a great time at Camp YA.